And welcome back again to the Nerd Paradise Podcast, my friends.
Now proudly spoiler free.
Yes, so now we're going to a bit of a lighter note after all of Matt's ranting. I think he's done.
Yes.
Like, he's spent.
Yes, I may have gone a little bit overboard, but passion is where it's at.
Like, his red face is just like boiling.
Yeah, I think he's spilled over most of his hellfire for the night.
No,
that's what you think.
Well, I think he's still got some brimstone left in him.
Okay. Yes, I have other topics, but some of them are A, inappropriate for a nerd covering podcast, and B, I do not think speaking of them would even be allowed on a XXX rated program.
Oh no,
boy.
there'd be a lot of fuck yous everywhere.
Not even. I would be using swears that would make ears bleed.
So, yeah, this time we're going to finally give the mic to Harvey because me and Nat have gone, like...
on length on certain things. Like, luckily Harvey had some input on the other parts, thankfully. Yeah. So, the table is yours.
Okay. Well, as you might be familiar from our last episode, we talked a little bit about how we've started to get into D&D and we started to play and we're currently unable to play.
By the way,
yes,
gotta say this. We have a sponsor, guys. Guess what? A very special sponsor. So, I just gotta say that this podcast is now brought to you by D&D Farms, bringing you the best of your monsters to your game. Wait a minute. The hell is that? What did I tell you about fucking that Kafra orc? Get off of her! Come on, get off! Get off! Anyways, go on.
Get out of the kobold pen! So, moving along, one aspect of the D&D game that has changed recently is there's been a shift in the whole board dynamic of having miniatures going now to die-cut tokens, which should make the game easier for newer dungeon masters and game masters.
Mind you, even the miniatures themselves were for more newer players. Die-hard D&D players that have tons of experience, as I do compared to them, do not need this. All you need is your pencil and your character sheet, and all goes on in your head.
Yes, but I will like to state that for certain people, myself included, it is a lot easier to work these things out in one's head if there is a visible and tangible.
Well, like I said, it's more for people that are not as experienced. Everyone has a starting point. Some people prefer visuals. Mm-hmm. Others have dealt with games that have no visuals and are much more used to that.
Mm-hmm. Whatever's flavor, it depends on your group and your DM. So one of the shifts, they went from miniatures now up to the tokens. But one thing that really kind of speaks to me is the whole idea of having the miniatures. When I was younger, I didn't actually get into the Warhammer tabletop game, but I was really interested in it because I would go into the Games Workshop store and I'd just be fascinated looking around, walls filled with these little
miniatures.
These miniatures, these little toy soldiers of tons of different kinds. You had futuristic and you had medieval and all these things in between, and it was all really fantastical and all really cool. And I've always been a very hands-on sort of person. I get into hobbies quite impulsively and will hop from one thing to another. And the fact that it's not just a crafting hobby with your hands, but it's so nerd-flavored, really appealed to me. And so I got into the whole aspect of making these little miniatures and then painting them and everything. And one thing that I've found lately, especially with D&D, it's the miniatures are totally superfluous in the current model. But I still find myself wanting to actually have some. Not even necessarily to play with, but to just, I don't know, it's the experience of, I find it very cool to actually take one of these things and paint it up and be happy with the work and be proud of it, you know? It's one thing when you make like arts and crafts.
You kind of equivalent that to people who do knitting or people who, rejuvenate cars as a pastime, right?
Yeah.
Oh, exactly.
It's something like that, but for us nerds. It's a way for a nerd to do something more artistic than they're used to doing.
It's something you can sit still and do for hours without needing a screen. That is really important for us.
Yes. Mind you that if you go to see some of these games workshops and you see actual games going on, the work and detail some people put into their models is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
While on the other side of the spectrum, there are people that simply just slap on paint.
Yes. Part of the problem why I couldn't get into Warhammer, well, besides the fact that I was young, couldn't take it seriously, and it was pretty damn complicated. There's a lot that you have to do besides buying the miniatures and.
It's very meticulous work, right?
Yes, you have to take them out, you have to glue them together, paint them up, and all that. But besides that, you have to have space to play. You have to build your own scenery and have different battlefields and all these different things.
Yes.
And
Mind
terrain
you,
stuff
these
that
days you
works.
can usually buy the tables
Oh my god.
online and stuff, and they're done well.
You can buy them, but they're expensive
Yes.
as all hell.
Yes, they are. But you can buy them, but now this game has been around for a long time, so imagine that before the internet and stuff, your only option if you wanted to host a night of this stuff going on was to build your own.
Yes.
Okay, and it was one of the more expensive hobbies at the time.
Oh, it's because...
It still is.
Yeah, part of the problem is that you're having less and less of a market for Warhammer itself and the other games that are like it. Because it's a tabletop game and there's been a big shift over to people preferring digital stuff. Because it's a lot easier for people to schedule their time together to play.
A lot easier on your wallet too.
Yeah, that's another problem.
That's the big problem why it's hard for people to get into overall.
Yeah, you have
and stay into it. Like, if you want to be competitive with other people in it, you want to spend your money on the best possible units you can get.
Yeah, you got to go balls deep from the start.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
this is not for anyone who is frugal. This is not for anyone who.
Like you gotta spend money big time, especially if you want to try and get your hands on some of the legendary units.
Yeah. Not to mention, like, say Games Workshop itself, they'll sell you pretty much all things you need to make the units, including the paintbrushes and all the different paints. Now, I can understand that it's how they make their money. They have to charge what I would consider to be a lot for these things. But it's such a deterrent.
Yes, it is.
Because when I got these
No.
sets for Christmas that I asked for, they were from two different sets entirely, and I had no intention of playing. I just wanted to put them together and just play with them because they're these cool little guys, especially these red soldiers with these freaking chainsaw swords. That blew my mind when I was a kid, and if it doesn't blow your mind, I kind of have to question why you're listening to all this in the first place.
The thing is, that's not going to blow as many people's minds these days since the Gears of War series and the Chainsaw Lancers.
Yes,
which drew inspiration from that, anyways.
Mm-hmm. But it's a whole subculture of miniature painting. I use the site DeviantArt. It's for all sorts of different media, and you have people that post up shots of miniatures that they've painted, either in the way it's supposed to be or in their own custom job, and it's really cool. It's something that doesn't necessarily get a lot of attention, but when you consider that sometimes if you buy something with miniatures that are pre-painted, it's kind of shoddy.
Now, there are even some people that go even further than that, that actually go to the Warhammer company's websites, like their corporate section, and spend God knows how much money to at least thousands to actually get the molds.
Oh yeah.
So like they get the molds and then they buy
plastic casting,
or even somehow get their hands on metal.
Yeah, the pewter or the lead.
Yeah. And cast their own things anytime they want.
Yes.
That's real commitment.
Yes, custom casting is a really, really cool idea. But fuck, if you can afford it, I suppose you probably have the time to actually sit around and do this.
Yeah, if you can afford it, one, where are you getting the money? Two,
what are you doing with your time?
Oh my god, are you actually using all that money on that? And three, if you are, please tell me other aspects of your life are at least balanced out, or else you're a very lonely person.
Yeah, because it's one thing to be like very hard into your passion, but you got to make sure.
And there's
that
another
it's
thing
not the
that
only thing you do.
Yeah, like if that's all you're spending your money on, just for that. Especially for a simple reason that most of the time with Warhammer, it's a game of chance.
Mm.
Like it isn't so much a game of many variables. There's tons of variables, but in the end, how the game goes essentially is a gamble by your dice rolls.
Yeah, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
There's no other way of saying it. It's a gamble.
You can put your pieces strategically, yes, but
in the end, it's a gamble. Like I don't know about. I've never played Warhammer, but playing D&D with you guys, it's always been a gamble because every time I roll that dice, it's either hit or miss.
Mind you, with our D&D games, I find that we were getting some pretty bad rolls most of the time.
I think I bought dice from bad people.
Yeah, like we were very rarely getting dice rolls on D20s above 15s.
Now,
well, that and as many people say about 4th edition, it's not the best for being as fair to players that starting out as 3rd edition was. Like, you get tutored better, yes, but level 1 monsters in 4th edition are a lot stronger than they were in 3rd edition. So there's your balancing there. You learn better how to play at the beginning, but you're going to be dealing with slightly stronger enemies in 4th edition. While in 3rd edition, you don't get your hand held as much, but your enemies are a lot easier to deal with.
But yes, going back to your...
Mind you, a good DM would simply reduce the stats of the enemies to make things easier.
Oh, that is a low blow. That is a low blow.
It is tough to equate...
Mind you, a great DM will keep things as they are.
Good DM cannot always necessarily go along with brand spanking new DM. Thank you very much, Mr. Critic.
I sense...
That's why I added the great DM part.
Is anyone out there in the listening audience feel this tension as much as I do? Because I feel uncomfortable. Really, I do.
Anyways, but yeah, so we talked about miniatures. Now we can move on to talking about D&D for a little bit, and just ways to get into it. Simply, there's starter kits now for 4th edition. Talk to people you know that may play the games. There are some people in game shops that know. Most people will recommend 3rd edition to people, but if you are starting out new, at least try the 4th edition solo adventure so you learn how to play. Because it's a lot better than the 3rd edition solo adventure, I find. But overall, you'll find people still shying away from 4th edition just because it has certain bugs that seems to still have not been addressed. They have fixed things over the last little while. Like, they've expanded their player handbooks a lot since it first came out. Like, when 4th edition first came out, it limited you to essentially 5 classes and 3 races. So
now you have this whole spectrum.
They've expanded, so thank God for that.
I will say that I got started on 4th edition, so I can't really compare to the old ones, but
I've played since 2nd edition, so I can
issues.
I know how things are with other editions. Like 3.5 especially is what many gamers will consider probably some of the best D&D out there. But it still wasn't perfect. Number 4 itself isn't perfect either. But it did fix some of the problems of 3, but it still created its own. So it all just depends on what kind you want. It's best to just research what the differences are, and also, of course, matters on on whatever your DM is, on what he prefers.
He or she.
9 times out of 10 you're going to have to say he, because not too many girls are going to be into it at the time when 2 and 3 were around.
Fair enough.
I'm still talking about the past. Like, currently, yes, he or she applies constantly now, but when you're dealing with in the past, like version 1 through about 3.5, you're rarely going to see tabletop gaming with a lot of girls, and even less so with them being the DMs. These days, the more the merrier, I say.
Mm-hmm. It's not that it negates the rule at all, or the general
no, not at all,
how things go, but in my first introduction, I was playing where my friend, who is female, was the DM, and she was starting her own adventure, and it was her first campaign. And the way that we went about it was in a way
This was the online one you did?
Yes, this is when I was playing remotely online, and so that wasn't the best first experience for playing Dungeons and Dragons.
No,
but
it is possible to do it online, but
it's a lot better experience in person, more immersive for sure.
Well, there's also that social aspect
speaking
too,
of
right?
in person, prepare to be pandered to. Anyone that's listening to this that lives in the Toronto area and considers yourself sane,
by
at least by our standards,
from what you've listened to, if you gather that
we're loopy,
at least that you would find us to be savory characters and would put yourself in more or less the same bracket.
Yeah. Feel free to email us if you're interested in playing some D&D. We started off a campaign. Unfortunately, our wizard dropped out of sight. And it wasn't through an invisibility cloak.
Not a very good first experience for me, guys.
Yeah. Our wizard simply...
Your friend just leaves.
Yeah, our friend simply just got way too busy and couldn't commit, which we don't blame him for, but honestly, man, if you're listening... You're one, you're missed, and two, you're pushing yourself too hard. Try and free up your time. Hang out with the guys again.
Mm-hmm. We hope to see you again, man.
Yeah.
Now, do what you got to do to get your life.
Do what you want with your life. We're not here to tell you what to do. But anyways, back to that.
Back to pandering and Matt being on his knees. This is going to be good.
Yeah, I do not get on my knees for anyone, and the only time I ever plan to get down on one knee is when I propose. Which isn't anytime soon at all. So don't even give me any ideas, people. Anyways, as I was saying, anyone that's interested in maybe joining part of this D&D group, feel free to email us at the email we've provided to you after all this time.
From the last episode.
Give us a bit of a description about yourself, what you're into and such. If you have any RP experience.
Have you ever killed a cat?
Which is usually a deterrent,
yes.
I will say.
Yes. Mark, I don't know why you had to add that.
It just.
I think that's implied, okay?
Yeah, but it kind of.
Okay.
Like.
Anything that's
measures crazy.
Okay, if you've done anything that's considered illegal, don't contact us. Okay?
I'm weird.
But anyway, so tell us.
Jaywalkers accepted.
Yes.
We'll look the other way.
Jaywalkers accepted, and hell,
in fact, we'll look both ways.
Oh, jeez.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the Pun King.
Okay, but yeah, so feel free to contact us. Tell us a bit about yourself. If you're comfortable, give any contact information you're comfortable with giving. Do not give your phone numbers.
No,
we do not want your phone numbers. We will not even look at any phone numbers.
I'm not a desperate girl looking for a date.
We find that creepy. Now, if there's any girls that want to leave their numbers for Mark, go right ahead.
What's this whole?
Anyways, but yeah, so don't leave your numbers. Just either leave an email or a Facebook account or even a Twitter.
Some kind of chat handle.
Yeah. Yeah. Like. Hell, we'll even accept a Skype or a Hotmail mail account. Either way, leave some information with us. We will get back to you as soon as possible. And if you are at all interested, we will gladly accept you. Our meeting days are usually set to Thursdays. So if you can swing that night, we usually start in the early afternoons, go to whenever we have to be ready for tomorrow morning. Mm-hmm. So feel free, and if you really mesh well with the group, you may even become the fourth member here on this podcast.
Yeah, because the seat beside me is kind of getting lonely.
No promises here, but hell, if you want to be an internet celebrity...
Hey, we're not even trying to be internet celebrities. I just want to vent.
Yes. So, yeah, feel free to contact us. feel free to give information and we will get back to you. Just I repeat, no phone numbers, and this is not Craigslist. We are not looking for pictures of your cocks.
It's also not chat roulette on that matter.
Oh, jeez.
Or Omegle.
Okay, what do you guys go on, really?
We don't have to go on these. These things have been explained in popular culture. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't jump to conclusions, okay? We watch TV, Mark. We know these things through there.
Okay. So, when you're on the internet, do as the Romans do, conquer and crush. But for now, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up for this week's Nerd Paradise Podcast.
Harvey, please don't say do as the Romans do.
Oh, why? Why?
You know what the Romans did.
They did a lot of things, okay? They did a lot of good things. You know why we have roads? Romans.
Okay, they did a lot of things that I just said that we don't want, okay?
Banter, banter, banter. Banter,
We just said, no cock shots.
Banter, banter, banter.
The Romans kind of like doing things naked.
Banter, banter, banter.
I think you're thinking more of Greeks.
Rome adapted to that. They did that too.
So, if you want to listen to the next banter between these two, check out the next podcast. But, breaking that up as I did...
talking to a history guy here, I think I would know.
Breaking that up as I did... Breaking that up as I did...
Alright, Mark, you can stop being a broken record. You can stop being a broken record. You can stop being a broken record.
Any last words from you guys?
Usroda?
Well, Harvey hasn't said much. Let's start with him.
Yes. What have you learned
words.
today, Harvey?
I have learned that BioWare gives me a headache.
I think I learned that too, but...
That's all I can afford to take away from this, I think.
Yes, I think everyone that's looked into Mass Effect 3 or played it has come to that conclusion.
How about you, Matt?
Well, I learned that BioWare deserves to be boycotted for what they did with this game. I have also learned the fact that miniatures, while expensive, are fun, but not a hobby that I'll personally get into for financial reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also learned that while people may have different opinions on how they felt of this season of The Walking Dead, I'm going to stick with my opinions for the sole reason that at least most of the time I can get people to agree with my logic. I'm not saying I'm right, but at least people can agree with my logic.
Well, for me, I guess what I've learned is by now, people listening to this podcast will probably think Matt needs to take a chill pill with some things.
Well, excuse me, but I am very passionate.
Yeah, I think people upstairs heard that passion.
You know who else are passionate? Zealots.
Now...
Dictators, they're pretty passionate.
Look at the bright side, Harvey. At least I'm not religious.
I don't know if that helps. Now there's no one to blame for your craziness.
I've also learned...
Would you rather I be a religious zealot or just a crazy zealot?
I would think those would be interchangeable. At least one goes with the other.
Yes, but in this case I'm separating them.
Okay, so you're a godless attacker.
Yes.
Very well.
I've also learned that I have to learn to separate these two every time they start with another banter.
Well, excuse me, okay? We seem to have a little bit of a rivalship going.
Not to mention, in the nerd community, it is very, very hard to find a lot of people who will have the same opinions as you.
I think that's with everything.
Yes,
and even if
it's true.
And even if you do find people that don't have the same opinions as you, it's even harder to find those kind of people that you can at least get along with.
Yes.
At least me and Harvey, we may banter, we may argue, we may do slights at each other, but we're still friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and every time I see Matt smile at the end of this whole at the end of the whole banter, why do I picture him like in his mind choking Harvey, strangling him over and over again?
I would not do that for the sole reason that in my head that actually looks very wrong with Harvey's bald head.
Oh God.
I'm not totally bald. I've got traction already.
See, I'm starting to make these two ramble, but gotta close this off.
That might have been an unintentional slight at Harvey, actually.
By the way, thinning hair, but bald by choice.
Yes.
So
And he makes it work.
Hell yeah.
So we gotta go.
Yes,
And,
we went overboard with the time for some of our segments here today.
I apologize
We're
for that.
still in the green for this one, so
Well,
just gonna give the general statements of, you know how to contact us. We have the email set up. You may also contact us via Twitter account that we shall be making for just this podcast, as well as... if it's accepted well, we may give information on our other Twitter accounts.
and that we have the best sponsor in the world.
Yes.
Who we're not officially affiliated with, but we thought it was damn funny when we saw it.
Yes. All you have to do is
Just gotta remember
Google
to-
search D&D locations, and if you're in the Toronto area at least, it should appear actually on the top, on the first page of Google search.
Also, you gotta remind me. You gotta lock that kobold cage beforehand.
Yeah, especially once you let a knoll into their head and everything.
Oh,
just gets-
right. Since we're still shilling things right now, two things I must kind of three things I must shill.
Shill.
Yeah. Number one, to continue on with the D&D kind of things. If you're interested in learning more about D&D, or just hearing some really fun stories about what goes on, go and look up the Spoony Experiment online and look at his Counter Monkey stories.
Better get some ads for this.
Yeah. They are very funny to listen to and very informative. He even has a video just for an introduction to tabletop gaming, which is very good to listen to and is a very good explanation for people that want to get into it but don't necessarily want to be a DM.
But other than that,
And the other thing, of course, is Spoony is connected to that guy with the glasses, which I commonly reference here. I recommend most anyone from that site at any time. Their videos are funny, most of which are reviews of things from our past that were either bad. Some of them, they review good things. Check them out. It's almost always funny. They may not be to your taste, but I'm sure you can find something on there that is.
Mm-hmm. You may even go on there and find some examples of epic fails.
Yeah.
Proper examples.
Yeah.
reference to the third episode.
Yes.
Yeah. We've
And-
covered that.
Yes.
So-
And then finally, the final thing I must shill. I did not want to shill this earlier this year, but I will now. Go and visit Snakes and Lattes. They have recently expanded.
Now you want to do it. When I wanted to do it, you knew what?
Anyways, they have recently expanded to the storefront right next to them. As well, they are planning to remove the wall between their stores and add in a full bar. Anybody that has any bartending experience, feel free to apply there. It is a great environment. It should be a great place to work. So throw in your resumes. We've let our friends know that have bartending experience to do the same. Do so. We want to have it open to everyone. We don't want to be just greedy towards our friends.
Yeah.
And just look it up. Go there. They've got tons of room now. It's a great place to hang, and it's a good place to just sit down with some friends and play some board games, play some card games.
It's
Do
pretty
whatever.
great too. It's a $5 flat rate for
Yeah.
pretty much the whole day.
And even the food that they offer you is fairly well priced and worth it.
Yeah, it's pretty decent, I will say.
Yeah. It's a nice place. During certain days of the week, even if they have expanded, I would recommend calling ahead to reserve a table.
Especially weekend evenings.
Yes, weekend evenings especially, but overall, thanks to the expansion, weekday afternoons, you can fairly easily get yourself a table on walk-in now.
Mm-hmm.
So look forward to that. Check it out, and feel free to spread the word.
Yeah, support local business,
Yeah.
especially when it's that awesome.
Well, if you're in Toronto, support local business.
Well, wherever you are.
Yeah, if you can find a place like that, go ahead. Or hell,
Yeah.
if you're a business major and you want to start your own business, learn more about Snakes and Lattes and think about starting that kind of business in your hometown.
I have heard about a place that has a very similar business model to Snakes and Lattes, but it's also a bubble tea place with board games.
It's not bad.
And I've been told that it's a very, very popular place. So it would
Where
be...
is it?
I'm not entirely sure.
Wait. No, that can't be it.
But it is apparently
No.
inhabited very often by students, and it's very packed. And I'm glad to hear that they're doing well, because I would like to see more
we
places
need
like
more
this around the
places
city.
like that. I mean, it would be awesome, really, if Snakes and Lattes were simply to franchise themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, open up more places
This
around the
is the
city.
only time that we're saying sell out.
Well, no, not like sell out, like
Expand.
expand. Like, still own yourself, but just expand to another location.
I gotta say, it's a really, really cool sort of job in terms of what sort of research you have to do in order to recommend these games to people. You play board games to get expertise on this. Here's what you think is good for a party, for this many people. That appeals to me a lot.
It's basically like having a Blockbuster, but for board
No, not a
games.
Blockbuster.
No?
A library.
Library.
Yes.
A library. A reference library, because you cannot take
Well,
the games out of there.
Well, library where you have to pay.
Well, actually, I believe Snakes and Lattes is planning to offer membership cards, too, at a yearly rate.
Okay.
I'd jump on that.
Yeah, I would, too.
Either way,
I cannot confirm that, but I have heard rumors of that.
either way, check it out.
Check it out.
Think about
They
it.
are right on Yonge Street, just a little bit...
Is that not Bloor Street?
Oh, yes, Bloor Street, sorry. They're Bloor Street, just a little bit
West of
west
Bathurst.
of Bathurst Street, just after Honest Ed's.
No.
Other side of the road of Honest Ed's, but anyways.
But yeah.
You can find them online, okay? Who are we telling you where to find it?
Hell, if you're in the area
Google
and
it.
you want to kill maybe an hour or two, wander around Honest Ed's. It's pretty damn fun.
Yeah. Speaking of, we should probably check it out at some point. Just take a look around.
I need some new work pants.
Yeah. I could take a look. It's always fun. We haven't been in a while.
So you guys done shilling?
Yeah, sure. We added Honest Ed's to this shill, but whatever.
I have shilled my local area pretty
Yeah.
well. I
How,
think
like,
that's
have you shilled yourself out?
Since I'm not receiving any compensation for this, I find I'm just an enthusiastic informer.
Yes.
Okay.
And I will not shill anything because I do not think any of you would be morally interested in the
You
services
will
I could
not
provide.
shill anything. What was that last
About
20 minutes?
About myself. About myself, I will shall not shill because most people will not be interested in the services that I could provide. Mainly, demon possession or just general evil.
Or price check.
Good job.
That I already get paid for though, so
Now-
it doesn't matter.
We gotta end
It's a
this.
skill.
Really, we do. So, with that being said, have a good night. Check out our info.
Thanks for
All
listening.
the contacts. Thanks for listening. And that's it. We're done. Peace out.